Hello students, I hope all of you are fine at home. So today in this video, we will be learning about the adaptation in plants.
Chapter 5 Adaptation in Plants. Here in this chapter, we have two objectives to learn. The first one is to know the features of plants that grow in different habitats. And the second is to understand the concept of insectivorous plants and non-green plants. Before we learn about the adaptation, let us know what is habitat. A habitat is a natural home or environment of plant, animal, or other organism. In other words, the place where a living organism lives in nature is called a habitat. It also means that the environment provides the organism with food, water, shelter, and space to survive. What is adaptation? The process by which an organism or a species becomes better suited to its environment to live is called adaptation. Now, based on their habitats, plants are divided into two categories, that is, the terrestrial and the aquatic plants. The terrestrial plants are the plants that grow on land, and the aquatic plants are those plants that grow in water. Based on the features of the plants, the terrestrial and the aquatic plants are further divided into different categories. The terrestrial plants, plants growing in plains, plants growing in mountains, plants growing in deserts, plants growing in swampy areas, and plants growing in the coast. Aquatic, floating plants, fixed plants, and underwater plants. Let us learn all these features of the plants one by one. Firstly, the terrestrial plants. Plants growing in the plains. Based on the features of these plants, the plants growing in plains are again divided into two categories. The first one is the plants growing in areas of less rainfall and the plants growing in the areas of heavy rainfall. The features of the plants that grow in the areas of less rainfall are they have several branches, they can survive in a very hot climate, they shed most of their leaves in autumn, they are called deciduous trees. These plants are actually called the deciduous trees because they shed their leaves once in a year or in the autumn season. Example neem, gulmohar, peepal, and banyan tree. Plants growing in the areas of heavy rainfall. They have many leaves. The leaves remain green almost all throughout the year. Example rubber, teak, rice, and sugarcane. Plants growing on mountains. These plants are tall, straight, and have a conical shape. They have cones with seeds inside them because they are flowerless. Leaves of these plants are needle-like. Their leaves have a waxy coating to prevent any damage from snow. They are called coniferous trees. Example pine, deodar, and fir. Plants growing in deserts. They have very few or no leaves. Their leaves are modified into thorns. They store water in their stem, which become fleshy. Photosynthesis is carried out by their stems. Their roots are adapted to get whatever water is available. Example cactus. Plants growing in the swampy areas. They have a special type of roots called the breathing roots. Breathing roots help the plant to absorb water and minerals that are required to carry out photosynthesis. Example of these plants are mangroves. Plants growing in the coasts. They can survive on salty water. These plants prefer areas of heavy rainfall. Seeds are dispersed by water. Example, coconut tree. Aquatic plants. As I have mentioned earlier that the aquatic plants are the plants that lives in water. And based on the features, they are divided into three categories. They are the floating plants, and the features of these plants are these are light, spongy, and float on the surface of the water. The roots of these plants hang loosely in water. Example, water hyacinth, water lettuce, and duckweed. Fixed plants. Their roots are fixed at the bottom of the pond. They have a long, hollow stem to reach the surface of the water. The leaves are broad and coated with wax to prevent wilting. The leaves have stomata only on the upper side of the leaf. Example, lotus and water lily. Underwater plants. They have narrow leaves without any stomata. They breathe through their body surface. The leaves and stems are thin and flexible. Example, Hydrilla and seagrass. Apart from the adaptations that we have learned from the terrestrial and aquatic plants, there are some more adaptations that we will be learning in this chapter. These are the adaptation of insectivorous plants and non-green plants. Insectivorous plants. Plants that are both producers and carnivores in nature are called insectivorous plants. So here producers means these plants produce their own food by the process of photosynthesis, and carnivores means these plants feed on other small animals, especially insects. Example of these plants are Venus flytrap, pitcher plant, and sundew. Non-green plants. Plants that do not have chlorophyll are known as non-green plants. Now, as we know that the chlorophyll plays an important role in the synthesis of food, that is a process called photosynthesis. But the plants lacking in this pigment are not able to prepare food for themselves. And these plants are also called saprophytic plants, which means that the plants cannot make their own food but absorb food from that remains of plants and animals. And the examples of these plants are mushroom and Indian pipe. So with this, we have been able to complete both the objectives of this chapter as mentioned. And I hope students, all of you have understood this chapter. So before I end up this video, I would like to give you two questions as an assignments. The first question is, write all the question answers of your textbook, which is given in the page number 62. And the second question is, collect the pictures of terrestrial and non-green plants. So thank you students, stay home and stay safe.